Welcome everyone to another fundamental movement lesson. In today's lesson, we're going to be talking about the hip opener called 90-90s. We're going to be talking about what is the purpose of doing a 90-90 and why would we do it in the first place. So the what to this movement. The what is a hip opener movement that flosses that hip joint into internal and external rotation, utilizing the movements that the joint offers. Again, we're going with the principle, if you don't use it, you will lose it. And we don't want to lose the precious movement within our hip joint because then we become less adaptable and our hips become really tight. The why to this movement is kind of like I just mentioned. It's going to offer a wide variety of motion. It's going to allow the stagnant energy that typically sits at our hips because we live in a world where we sit so much and our hip flexors and the internal and external rotator muscles become very tight and short. It's going to offer a way for that stagnant energy to flow and move throughout our system properly. So let's get into the 90-90s here. I'm going to be teaching it in a very unique way that's going to utilize momentum of the body. We're going to start in a sitting down position. I'm going to do it with you here. So we're going to start in this sitting down position. And I want you to just rest your hands back here. First thing we're going to do for this is we're going to let that left leg internally rotate while the right leg externally rotates. This is going to drop our body into this position as it starts to come upright. As it starts to come upright, I want you guys to turn your pelvis and your torso so it's parallel with your right leg. From here, I want you to establish yourselves in a comfortable position, making sure that you have 90-degree angles in both legs. Now we're going to lean over our right leg here, and we're going to hold for 5 seconds. When we lean, you simply rest on your forearms, and you should be feeling a stretch deep into the glute muscle here, where that piriformis muscle lives. And we'll just hold here for 5 seconds. Now, when we come up, we're going to shift to the opposite side, but this is where we're going to use momentum. I want you guys to plant both hands on the ground, and I want you to charge the ground, sinking down, and I want you to push up and then hold and go down again and just get used to that rhythm. Push up. Let your head become very heavy as it leads the motion, as it leads the movement here. Letting your head become heavy, almost like a whip. You let your head fall down, you charge the ground, you push up. The next step is to naturally flow with that push-up motion. So you push up and you naturally swing to the opposite side, letting the legs shift positions, dropping that right leg internally, the left leg externally, and then leaning over the left leg. Same thing, holding here for 5 seconds, Shannon. So go ahead, lean over that leg. Perfect, right there. And you're just gonna lean until you feel a pretty good stretch or until you feel the activation happening within that left glute. Now charge the ground, push up, let the head go heavy, shift over to your right. And using momentum, and then just naturally falling. Perfect. Holding for 5 seconds, pushing up, shifting, letting momentum naturally falling. And what you're doing, and just keep flossing back and forth. And I'm going to just kind of point out the key features. As you can see, Shannon is taking her hip joints and she's putting them into internal, external rotation, flossing them inside of the hip joint socket itself. This is creating more lubrication within the joint, allowing the hip joints to have a more supple expression so they're not so tight and stagnant. And you could see, and I just want you to notice how she's flowing here. There's momentum. She's flowing, her head's heavy, she's dropping down, she's charging the ground, pushing up and flowing again. Perfect. Now, if this is difficult for you to modify this, I want you to lean back on your hands while you do it, Shannon. So lean back on your hands into that crab position. This allows you to get the hips into the proper rotation that you need. So a more advanced version is doing it without the hands. A more beginner version would be leaning back onto your hands so you can get the hips open into this position. So that is how we perform the 90-90s with the momentum style.